ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सार्वधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धून एव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So I welcome you all for this class today, for the Bhagavad Gita class. So last time we had completed the second chapter's 7th shloka, and today we're moving on to the 8th shloka. So let me just share the screen with you all so that it's easy for you all to read the shloka also. Yeah, we are at this particular shloka. So you all can recite after me. Nahi prapashyami mamapunada yachoksham uchokshanam indriyanam avapya bhubhava sampattanam mrudhanda rajyam suranam api chadipatyam. So the translation goes as follows. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in the heaven. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although Arjuna was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge of the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problem without the help of the spiritual master, Lord Sri Krishna. He could understand that that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence. And it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, high position, etc. are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is 100% conscious is the bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his social position, is the real spiritual master. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Shudra Kene Nyaye, E Krishna Tattva Vete, Sei Guru Hoya. It does not matter whether a person is a Vipra, learned scholar in Vedic wisdom, or is born in a lower family, or is in the renounced order of life. If he is a master in the science of Krishna, he is the perfect bona fide spiritual master. See Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 8.1 to 8. So without being a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, no one is a bona fide spiritual master. It is also stated in the Vedic literature that Shat karma nipuno vipro mantra tantra visharadaha avaishnava gururna syad vaishnava swapacho guruhum. A scholarly Brahmana expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava or expert in the science of Krishna consciousness. But a person born in a family of a low caste can become a spiritual master if he is a Vaishnava or Krishna conscious. That's from the Padma Puran. Further, Srila Prabhupada says that the problem of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death, cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth and economic development. Dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So when we say that artha, so not by wealth and not by even economic development also. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with all facilities of life, which are full of wealth and economically developed. Yet the problems of material existence are still present. They are seeking peace in different ways, but they can achieve real happiness only if they consult Krishna or the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, which constitute the science of Krishna, through the bona fide representative of Krishna, the man in Krishna consciousness. If economic development and material comfort could drive away one's lamentations for family, social, national, and international inabilities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of the demigods in the heavenly planets would be unable to drive away his lamentations. He sought, therefore, refuge in Krishna consciousness, and that is the path for peace and harmony. Economic development or supremacy over the world can be finished at any moment by the catalysms of material nature. Even elevation into a higher planetary situation, as men are now seeking on the moon planet, can also be finished in one stroke. The Bhagavad Gita confirms this. Shene punyam martya loka vishanti. When the results of past activities are finished, one falls down again from the peak of happiness to the lowest status of life. Many politicians of the world have fallen down in that way. Such fall downs only constitute more causes for lamentation. Therefore, we want to curb lamentation for good. Then we have to take shelter of Krishna, as Arjuna is seeking to do so. So Arjuna asked Krishna to solve his problem. Definitely, and that is the way of Krishna consciousness. So, when we say shoka, moha, bhayapaha, so then if you want to come out from this shoka, moha, and bhaya also, so then you have to take shelter of Krishna. So till now, what we have seen is that in the previous shlokas, I'll just give a little synopsis for those who have just joined in today and those who are new to this, Bhagavad Gita class. So in the previous classes, we did see that how Krishna is refuting the 5 arguments that Arjuna had put forward in chapter number 1. And even he's putting forward some more arguments in this chapter also. Till 2.6, he had 5 arguments. The 5th argument that he did in 2.6 was indecision. He was very confused whether to fight or not to fight. And Arjuna is confused and he's indecisive based on if he fights, he may win. Still, he will not be able to enjoy without his relatives. Or he may emerge victorious in spite of so much bloodshed, but there is no enjoyment guaranteed. And if he does not fight, then begging will be only his means of sustenance, because for a Kshatriya it is very difficult and there is no enjoyment also in begging. So now the first 4 arguments, they were covered in chapter number 1, and he put this 5th argument in this chapter number 2. Now if you see from the previous shlokas or the chapters, now Arjuna's condition is illustrating that what is the result of selfishness, because Arjuna did not want to fight because he was thinking that I will, be not in a peaceful state. I will be in frustration and I will be, not be able to be sound in my mind also. So whenever somebody is selfish or his consciousness is in a very selfish state, then he will have two, effects for that. One is he'll be frustrated, and second will be he will not be able to reach to sound conclusions. So when a person becomes selfless, then he will come out from that frustration and he'll be happy. When a person has this when he's selfless, then he'll be able to take sound decisions also, and he'll be able to come to even sound conclusions also. So that is why if you see in the 6th shloka also, Arjuna is actually, if you see Arjuna's quality, he has got really good quality, that he's a devotee of the Supreme Lord. He's highly, enlightened person. He's called Gudakesha because his mind and senses are in control. And he also wants to, live by begging. That is a sign of detachment for, him. And plus, he has very strong faith in the instructions of the spiritual master or Krishna. So these are all these good qualities that make Arjuna quite fit for liberation. So somebody might ask, okay, what are the qualifications required for liberation? So there are 3 qualifications required for liberation. One is you need to have control senses, knowledge, and devotion to the Supreme Lord. Unless the senses are controlled, then there is no chance of elevation to the platform of knowledge. And without knowledge and devotion, then there is no chance for liberation. So now Arjuna is perplexed. But in the previous shloka, 2.7 that we saw is that he was perplexed, but yet he was eager for enlightenment. And then he recites that particular shloka, Karpanya dosha pahata swabhava. So now what happens is Arjuna is surrendering in the previous shloka. He surrenders. So Krishna's role as a friend turns into a guru. And this theme, if you see, it slowly and gradually this develops, that how Krishna's role from a friend turns into a guru. Because in the 2nd shloka, Krishna is chastising Arjuna for his misplaced compassion that is there. That he's saying that compassion for the dress of a drowning man is, useless. And that is why Krishna calls him non-Aryan, calls him impotent, and he calls him weak-hearted also. And Arjuna, then he is expressing in the previous shloka, he is expressing that, okay, I'm confused about my duty. I've lost all composure, because of my weakness. Now you please tell me what I need to do. And then in this 8th shloka that we are reading is that he reconfirms that he's reconfirming that, yes, now I'm completely dependent on you. Now I have complete faith in you, and I don't have any other means to drive away my grief. So, and nobody can help me other than you. No Shastra, no person can help me, Krishna, only other than you. And so then Arjuna is saying that even victory or even any amount of opulence also cannot dispel or drive away my lamentation. And you please, tell me what I need to do. You please give me instructions what I need to do. So then, if you see in the previous shloka, Arjuna is expressing his, surrender level. And over there, Prabhupada, in that particular purport, he's distinguished between 2 people. There is one is the miser and one is the Brahmana. So what are the symptoms of a miser person and what are the symptoms of a Brahmana? How does a miser person think and how does a Brahmana think? Miser, like in that particular shloka, miser means kripana, he is said over there. Okay. So the definition of miser is that one who does not utilize the most valuable asset of this human form of life to solve the problems of life. What are the problems of life? Birth, death, old age, and diseases. He's not utilizing this, human form of birth to solve these problems. Secondly, he wastes his time in only material bodily conceptions. So he's very affectionate towards his family, his children, his wife, and even to his dogs and cats also. So then what happens? Such a person, he suffers from the skin disease. Skin disease means what? Skin disease means what? Which is, I am too attached to my family and I'm too attached to my wife and my children. and the other members. So there are two aspects of also skin disease. So skin disease में problem क्या होता है? That he thinks that I can protect and save my family from death. And he thinks that even my family from that side can save me also from death. And then finally what he does is he quits his life like cats and dogs without understanding what is the aim of human life. Human life is given for self-realization. So this is, about Prabhupada says in that particular purport, he says about who is a miser. Now let's see what Prabhupada says in that particular purport about Brahmana. So Brahmana is the opposite of a miser. Miser is what? He does not have that intelligence. So Brahmana is what? Brahmana is intelligent and he utilizes the human form of body to solve the problems of life. So, so over here, he's setting, the mood of understanding the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita also. So when you say that, what is a Brahmana? The Brahmana knows that, okay, my wife, my children, my other family members can never save me. And even I cannot save them because everybody is a puppet in the hands of the Supreme Lord. So now, then he's setting the scene, or he's setting the mood to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. Like when you say Arjuna versus any mundane scholar, so what is the correct mood of understanding the Bhagavad Gita is that Arjuna is stopping friendship from Krishna and he's surrendering to Krishna as the first disciple of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, Bhagavad Gita was already spoken many, many years before also to Vivaswan and all. But because of time, it again became diminished and again it need to be re-established. So then now Arjuna becomes the first disciple of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the correct mood. That a particular person, if he wants to understand the Bhagavad Gita, he has to first surrender to Krishna, to surrender to his instructions, be in a humble and a submissive mood to receive that particular knowledge. Where if you see in the, what is that shloka? I just don't remember. I'm a little bad at remembering shlokas. I need to just, in the second chapter, if you see, Sutta Goswami is, in Sutta Goswami is, he's saying that Sutta Goswami is very submissive and he's very, affectionate also. He's very good at assimilating also that particular knowledge. And how has he assimilated that particular knowledge? He has assimilated that particular knowledge by being submissive and understanding the orders of his spiritual master. This is one of the qualifications what Sutta Goswami has in the second chapter of the first canto of the Bhagavad Gita. So then we are speaking about the correct mode of understanding the Bhagavad Gita. Then what is the incorrect mode of understanding the Bhagavad Gita? That, okay, there is no need to submit to Krishna, but to the unborn within Krishna. And therefore, such people are called the greatest fool for understanding the Bhagavad Gita. They can never understand. Because why? Mundane scholars, they will say that, okay, that there is no need to submit to Krishna, but to the unborn within Krishna, we have to submit. So now if you see in the 8th shloka, that Arjuna is reconfirming his dependence and faith in Krishna. He's saying that, okay, Krishna, there is no other means to drive away my grief. Nobody can help me. And not even victory and not even opulence. Nobody can help me to drive away my lamentation. And that is why Arjuna is proclaiming that even an unrivaled kingdom on the earth or the supremacy like the demigods also, they also cannot help me. So if you see the practical application of this particular shloka is that one can surrender to the spiritual master only when he realizes two things. One is that he cannot independently solve the material perplexities. And secondly is that when you take full shelter of Krishna, That is the only way to elevate the pain and despondency that you have. Shoka and moha and bhaya, whatever you have, only when you take shelter of Krishna, that time only all these pains will be elevated and all this despondency also will be elevated. So now if you see in this particular purport, there are certain points which Prabhupada, we are studying only purpose of Srila Prabhupada. So what Prabhupada is saying, we're focusing only on that. So what is he saying? That only academic knowledge and scholarship and or any position that will be useless to solve the material perplexities or any problems of life also. Because we see that Arjuna's argument is based on only his limited knowledge that he's having, that of religious principles or moral codes. And these all have failed to help him. So then only Krishna or his bona fide representatives as a spiritual master can help to solve these material perplexities. So then in the what do you say? In the purport, Prabhupada is writing that who is a bona fide spiritual master. So there are two definitions, okay, of a bona fide spiritual master. And to support that, in the purport itself, then there are two supporting references also given. So the first definition of a bona fide spiritual master is that one who is 100% Krishna consciousness. He does not think anything other than Krishna's pleasure or giving pleasure to Krishna. That is a bona fide spiritual master. Then the second definition of a bona fide spiritual master is that one who can solve all the problems of life. So what are the problems of life? The major problems of life are birth, death, old age, and diseases. Anybody who has taken birth on this material world is sure to have diseases, is sure to die, is sure to go through old age also. And that is why such a person can help us come out of this cycle of birth and death, which keep on occurring again and again, again and again. These are problems which are reoccurring again and again in a dog's body, in a hog's body, in a human body, in a cow body, or in any animal species or bird species also. So then over there, Prabhupada is giving a supporting reference. He's saying Kibo Vipra. So one who is the master, who has mastered the science of Krishna, is real spiritual master, and not on any, decided by any birth or any social order. Nowadays, there are Brahmanas who have, they have that Janevu also. But that is a 25 paise Janevu, what Prabhupada says in one of his lectures, saying these 25 paise Janevu, they take and they are smoking also, they are drinking also, and they're eating meat also. So then that person is not called a Brahmana. A Brahmana is not in name only. A Brahmana is decided by the qualities that he possesses. And then again in the Padma Purana, again he is giving, that only a Vaishnava can become a bona fide spiritual master. That why Vaishnava only can become a bona fide spiritual master? Because a Vaishnava will think of giving pleasure to the Supreme Lord, and he will be compassionate to the living souls also. So, he has a dual role. Here, he wants to please the Lord. Then in what way he can please the Lord? All these fallen souls he's bringing back to the Supreme Lord. So, again, Srila Prabhupada, he's speaking about even the temporary nature of this economic development and whatever the supremacy is there of this world. He's saying that economic development, kitna bhi hum log develop ho jaye as a country, as a nation, or as a world also, it cannot solve the problems of material existence. And there are so many, he's giving example of that also, that there are so many opulent countries that have failed to, get peace. And now if you see recently also, there are so many countries, fighting, but is there any peace? Are they able to solve any real problems of birth, death, old age, and diseases? They're not able to solve that problem. So now, the only way to real happiness is actually by reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And, this has been shown by even Arjuna's personal example that any, unrivaled kingdom also, or even if I reach till the heavenly planets also, Even if I get Indra's position also, nobody can help me. Any economic development also cannot help me. And he's giving the example, Prabhupada is giving the example that so many politicians came and they fell down from their positions, but they were not able to solve the problems of, birth, death, old age, and diseases. So in one of the lectures, Prabhupada says that this position of material existence, that when we are in difficulty and we want to get over this difficulty, and we make many attempts to get over that difficulty, making this happiness. So for example, we'll be having the summer season right now. Okay, then what do? We try to make some adjustments. Okay, it's so hot, then somebody will switch on the AC, somebody will switch in the cooler. But actually, that is only temporary happiness and temporary adjustments we try to make. But, people think that, okay, I'll be happy making these adjustments. And even the scientists are also making adjustments. Scientists also bringing out new inventions for people. But, the scientists are not able to solve this problem of birth, death, old age, and diseases. There are so many who keep on dreaming, but they are not able to. So, there is a saying that trust no future, however it is pleasant. So, so that is the actual position. And therefore, over here, Arjuna is approaching Krishna that, okay, now I am actually your disciple. You please accept me. This is such a dangerous position that I am in. And, even so many people are put into great difficulties, and, it is drying up people's existence also and their senses also. There is no enjoyment, and nobody can make him happy. So happiness means actually, happiness means sense gratification. So most of the people, when they want happiness, they are trying to see that I will be happy by, doing some sense gratification. I'll be happy by doing some, temporary, drinking, smoking. But these things cannot make anybody happy. So it is all about, sense perception. So real happiness is actually that, you do not enjoy your own senses, but you give pleasure to the senses of the Supreme Lord. Where in the Bhagavad Gita also in 6.21, he says that Atendriyam sukham atyantikam yat tad atendriyam. He says that atendriya means surpassing, transcendental to the senses. And that is actually real happiness. But, what we are doing is we have taken the happiness as sense enjoyment. And by sense enjoyment, nobody can be happy, because we all are into this material existence, and, our senses are all false senses. They're temporary senses. So what we need to do is, these senses only, these are material senses. Ye aankh hai, naak hai, kaan hai. All these are material senses. अभी इन्हीं सेंसेस को लेकर हमको क्या करना है, इसको इन्हीं सेंसेस को लेकर we have to spiritualize these senses. For example, practically how we can do it. Okay, so my eyes, they have this habit or the conditioning, you can say, that they want to see only Bollywood movies, they want to see only some porn movies, they want to see only some dirty scenes as such. But if I turn it into another direction, then let my eyes only see the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. Let my eyes only see the darshan of the Supreme Lord on a daily basis. Let my eyes take the darshan of the devotees of the Supreme Lord, right? Through those eyes, I'll be able to have loving relationships, not only with the devotees, but through the devotees, I can have loving relationship with the Supreme Lord also. Where even Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, he is saying that Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundar Machinte Gunatva Rupam Govinda Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He's saying that Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena, Prem ka anjan jab hum lagayenge, that time we'll be able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. without having love for anybody, you cannot see the Supreme Lord at all. So the moment you have, eyes ointed with the kajal of love for the Supreme Lord, then you'll be able to see the Supreme Lord face to face. So one time in Srila Prabhupada's class, one of these hippies, he got up. He's saying that, you say, God, 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 but can you show me God? Then Prabhupada says, yes, I can show you God. But do you have the eyes to see God? Do you have the qualification to see God? I can show you God in 1 minute, right? So then he was not able to answer that. So, we have to take our spiritual consciousness, and then these spiritual senses we can, enjoy. Where in the Bhagavad Gita again he's saying that Sukham Atyantikam Yat Atendriyaha. So when you're surpassing these senses, means what? There is a covering on these senses. There is a material covering on the senses that, okay, on my soul, there is a material covering of my body. But actually, I'm not the body. I am the spirit soul. But this covering, but this is the covering of my own real body. That is my spiritual body. Similarly, the spiritual body has spiritual senses also. That it's not without any form or nirankar. It is a very common sense affair that just like I have got a hand, I've got two hands, and they are covered by some cloth, and the cloth also gets a hand, like not that way, but because I've got a hand, therefore my dress also has got a hand, and because I have got my legs, therefore my legs are also being covered by pants or whatever it is. So it is very this that from where this body came. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, if you see in the next slokas, he'll say that Vasamsi Jiranamni Yatha Vihaya. Vasamsi means garment. So this garment means, it is, this garment means it is cut according to the body. Okay. So this garment is that this body is, made of, this garment, and I am not this body, but I am the spirit soul. But I have a subtle body also and a gross body also. So the gross body is the external body that you see. It has bones and it has flesh and it has blood and pus and whatever it is. So then that is the gross body. But I have a subtle body. So subtle body that I have is mind, body, and intelligence. It is made up of. And this mind that is there, that mind is always thinking of Krishna all the time. But because that mind is covered by, the three modes of material nature, it has got a bodily covering, then that is why that mind does not think about Krishna. That mind is all the time reeling about sense gratification. And then I have the soul. So the soul also understands that, I belong to the Supreme Lord. I have a relation with the Supreme Lord. But the soul is also covered. Then how will the soul? And that is why this soul gets entangled into this material world, birth after birth after birth after birth. And then it keeps on, taking different births, but it is not able, but only in the human form of birth. When he comes to a surrender level, and when he comes to a surrender level, he surrenders to the Supreme Lord, he surrenders to the Supreme, the spiritual master, then he is able to understand that, okay, I am in this, perplexed material existence, and I don't know what I need to do is, I need to, not satisfy my senses, but I need to satisfy the actual senses. So the actual senses are the senses of the Supreme Lord. So there Krishna says that Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uttama. He says that, what is that shloka? He says that Sarvopadi Vinurmuktam Tat Pravalde Nirmalam Rishikena Rishikesha Sevayanam Bhakti Rujate. So he says that if I'm serving the senses of the Supreme Lord, who is Rishikesha. Rishi means the senses, and Isha means the master of the senses. So that is the real serving of the senses. And because Krishna is real, and we have come to that point we have come to this position that, okay, Krishna is only the real reality. Then we can serve Krishna. And then he says, Tat pravartane nirmalam. When our senses are purified, then he says that then there are different, different gradations. Then when the senses are purified, then you're all the time, you transcend these senses and you come out from the mental plane to the spiritual plane. You transcend this mental platform also. And then you come to an intellectual platform. And when you come to this intellectual platform, then you transcend and you come to the spiritual platform. And that is the real spiritual form. We will know that, yes, I have to serve. But currently, what is Arjuna's problem? That he's serving his own senses. He's just thinking about himself. He's not thinking about, his, ultimate good or ultimate benefit. And that is why he's on a gross bodily platform. And this gross bodily platform also demands, that it says that it has a, direct perception. So, there are different types of perceptions. You have pratyaksha, apratyaksha, paroksha, aparoksha, adokshaja, aprakata. So there are different stages of knowledge also. So that knowledge that is acquired in the bodily platform, it is a direct perception, but that is not a real knowledge. And that, therefore, all these, scientists, we can challenge them that, okay, your basic principle of knowledge is only on the bodily conception of life. It's not just pratyaksh, it's just experimental knowledge. That, it is just based on the gross sense perception. So that is why we do not see God. But the moment you have eyes ointed with the love of the Supreme Lord, then that moment you'll be able to see the Supreme Lord. So that's where, now Krishna will say that, that, okay, all right, everything is temporary for you, go on fighting, and okay. But then Arjuna over here, he's saying that, okay, now I have submitted to you. Now I have come to this conclusion that, okay, you are only the person whom, I can find solace in. And nobody else can solve my problem. Only you can solve my problem. And please, you tell me that, what to do. So, and then when Arjuna refuses to fight, then over there, Sanjay, who's sitting over there, he reports that, Arjuna is expressing his mind to, Krishna, that I shall not fight. And the only way to curb this lamentation is, to take shelter of Krishna like Arjuna is doing. And that is the way of Krishna consciousness. So over there, Dhritarashtra also will be perplexed that, okay, what is happening over there, that, and the Dhritarashtra gets disappointed that, hey, Arjuna is not fighting, he's so competent to kill the enemies and all. And when Sanjay is informing Dhritarashtra that, no, don't worry. Arjuna is only temporarily overwhelmed. But now, because he has surrendered to Krishna, he will definitely get up and he will fight. So, there are three things you will experience when you surrender either to a bona fide spiritual master or to Krishna directly. But if you go through the bona fide spiritual master, that is the best way. So when you surrender, firstly, you will get enlightenment. When you surrender, you will be free from false lamentation. शोक से तुम दूर हो जाओगे, आपके जीवन में कोई शोक नहीं होगा. So that is why, many people say, whenever you are in distress, whenever you are not happy, whenever you are not, sad, then what you need to do is, you just need to read the Bhagavad Gita. When you read the Bhagavad Gita, all lamentation will be driven away. This is the first example in the Bhagavad Gita, what Arjuna's lamentation was, completely vanished when he heard the instructions of the Supreme Lord. And then the third effect will be that you will be reinstated in your own duty. So whatever is my duty, okay, I am a soul and I belong to the Supreme Lord. I'm a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and I'm meant to serve the Supreme. So then you'll be reinstated in your original constitutional position as the servant of the Supreme Lord. So 3 effects of surrender: enlightenment, freedom from false lamentation, and you'll be reinstated in your own original constitution as the servant of Krishna. So I rest my speech over here. If somebody has any questions, queries, doubts, reflections, and you want to add something more what you have heard from somewhere else, you're free to add. You can unmute yourself and you can add.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you repeat the last 3 once again, Mataji?
Yeah, sure. So 3 effects of surrender that are there is enlightenment, freedom from false lamentation, and you'll be reinstated in your own original constitutional position as the servant of the Supreme Lord or the servant of the spiritual master. Anybody else has any query or any doubts? Yeah, Sangeeta Mataji is on this that so should we understand that a weak here comes under weak heart comes under misery person? Yes. When a person has a weak heart, he will know that he will not know, mujhe kiska shelter lena hai. I have to, take the shelter of the Supreme Lord. So he will be always in a miserable condition. But the moment that person will take shelter of the Supreme Lord. See, taking shelter of the Supreme Lord means not bowing down to him. Definitely bowing down is a very humble attitude. But if somebody wants to surrender to the Supreme Lord, then you have to surrender to his instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita. अगर आपको surrender करना ही है, तो फिर read the Bhagavad Gita. What is the Supreme Lord demanding from him? That is only actually called surrender. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Okay. So, I have my child and I have 3 children. Okay. So my elder child, he's very obedient to me. Okay. So then, I'll be more favorable to him. My beach wala child is a little bit naughty. So, I keep on correcting him but the last wala is the most naughtiest. Like, so then that most naughtiest, he keeps on getting, this. So when that elder child, he is very obedient to me, and whatever I say, he does it, then he's surrendering to the mother. He's surrendering to me. Because why? He has faith in me and he's surrendering to me. Okay, whatever mama says, she says absolutely correct. Mama says study, so okay, I will study. Mama says this, so okay, I'll study. So that is why then my first child that is there, he is very, because he's very obedient to me, he's very, lovable to me also. But जो दूसरे 2 बच्चे हैं मेरे, वो बहुत naughty है. They're still lovable to me. It's not like that. But because, they are little rebellious and they learn always the harder way, then they have to, gol ghoom ke they have to come. And ultimately then they realize that what mama had said was correct. Like, so that's how, that when I am following the instructions of the Supreme Lord or the spiritual master, then I am surrendering to the Supreme Lord. So even in the Bhagavad Gita, somebody says, how will I surrender? Okay, read the Bhagavad Gita and you'll understand the instructions of the Supreme Lord. So what the Supreme Lord is demanding? What is Prabhupada, writing in the purport? So see, I gave you today so many practical application, points to take home, right? Like, for example, I gave you that point that, okay, one can surrender to the spiritual master only when he realizes that I can independently not solve, the problems of my life or the perplexities of my life. Only when I take full shelter of Krishna, then only I'll be able to, come out of that pain or despondency that I have. Or, I gave you the example of even the miser and the Kripana and the Brahmana, that Kripana is thinking that my family members will save me from death. And the family members are thinking that, my father or my mother will save me from death. So then they do not understand only that human life is meant for self-realization. So these are the instructions that are given in the Bhagavad Gita by the Supreme Lord only. And so when Arjuna was confused about his duty, what did he do? Then surrender. So for example, even I am on a daily basis, even I get confused. Then what do? I read the Bhagavad Gita and come out of my confusion. Simple as that. Okay, Sangeeta Mataji, does that answer your question? Or you have something more to, add on to? Or yeah, anybody else has Sejal Mataji, yeah, your hand is up.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
I had a doubt, like surrendering. We know, okay, we have to surrender to him. Still, there are situations when we doubt our surrender. Karna, like whether to do or not to do. If I am wrong, we know what. Actually, we are not able to conclusion ki what is 100% surrender. And yes, still our intellectual level is somewhere raising an obstacle between the two, reaching to the spiritual height.
Yes.
How to overcome.
So see, at this particular stage, we are not expecting that people will, surrender completely. Surrender also has its own gradations and levels, and slowly you need to surrender. Like for example, when we started chanting with 2 rounds. 2 rounds से हम लोग ने surrender start किया, then we moved to 4 rounds, then we moved to 6 and 8 and 10 and 12 that way. So surrender is also slowly and gradually. Immediately you cannot surrender. It is not possible for anybody to surrender in one day. Surrender process is a gradual process. So धीरे धीरे surrender करना है, and धीरे धीरे you will see that your weak faith जो है आपका turns into a strong faith. Weak faith में क्या होता है कि for example some calamity comes, some misery comes, I leave everything and then I go away. तो वो weak faith होता है. I don't have faith in Krishna, I don't have faith in Shastras, I don't have faith in Guru. So then I move away. But when you are chanting even those 2 rounds or those 4 rounds or those 16 rounds, and you have faith in Krishna and Guru, then that only faith will become very strong faith. And then even after that faith, when it becomes very strong, and even if you have calamities in your life, you will know that these calamities have come to me to strengthen. These calamities have come to me to make me more strong in my spiritual life. These calamities have been given to me by the Lord to purify myself. जैसे हम लोग वॉशिंग मशीन में कपड़ा डालते हैं तो कैसे घर घर घूम के then it comes out to be very clean. Or even a diamond is polished and polished and polished, and then it emerges to be a good diamond which is very fit enough to be placed into a ring. So anything in life that you see, anything, you don't get it in very easily. You have to struggle. So but the difference between the material struggle and the spiritual struggle is what? The material struggle will degrade you, but the spiritual struggle will upgrade you. That is the difference between material struggle and spiritual struggle. And spiritual struggle may, you will relish spiritual struggle. You will be a very humble and a tolerant person. You will emerge out to be your own self that you were originally in the spiritual world. But in the material world, आप struggle करोगे और ego और अहंकार और anger और sadness वो भरता जाएगा. So it will keep in degrading you more. And that is why बोलते हैं ना कि मीठा दर्द है. Spiritual life is a little मीठा दर्द. जैसे हम लोग कोई जिम विम में जाते हैं तो when you go on the first day, or you've done some more exercise, then your calves start paining, your biceps start paining, or your hamstrings start paining, your what do you say, quadriceps they start paining, but वो मीठा दर्द होता है, because this is beneficial for me, and you do it. This is good for my bodily health, and you do it. You continue doing it, right? So similarly, स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ में भी थोड़े स्ट्रगल्स होंगे, बट ये मीठे हैं, इसमें कोई हानि नहीं है. दैट इज व्हाई कृष्णा इन दी भगवद गीता इन दी 40th श्लोका यू विल सी ही इज सेइंग दैट नेहा विक्रम नास्तोति प्रत्यवायन विद्यते स्वल्पमपि धर्मस्य त्रायतो महातो भयातः. देयर इज नो लॉस और डिमिनिशन इन दिस प्रोसेस. Whatever you have done in this lifetime, it is preserved by me, and I will, and this will be carried forward in your next lifetime also and till eternity. ये नष्ट नहीं होने वाला है. लेकिन वही एक्टिविटी हम लोग अगर मटेरियल लाइफ में करते हैं, whatever we do, then that is not going to come. Those things that you have done spiritually or materially, they are not going to be carried. Only your papas are going to be carried forward. But whatever, devotional life you have done, that will be carried forward. Okay, Sejal Mataji, does that satisfy your this question? Yeah. Anybody else has any query? Okay, so if y'all do not have any query, I have some questions for y'all. Let's play a small quiz and we'll wind up after this quiz. Okay. And you're going to unmute yourselves and you can give the answer. Okay. So, okay, we are going to ask only about this 2.8 shloka that I have discussed. Okay. So, what is Arjuna reconfirming over here in this particular shloka to Arjuna, to Krishna? What is he reconfirming? What is he saying, again and again in this particular shloka?
I'll not be able to fight against my own relatives. I won't be able to take
your what?
Bow and arrow and fight against my own relatives, members, even if I get a demigods in heaven, even if there is unrivalry towards me.
Yes.
Nobody.
Yes. But he's reconfirming something else on Krishna. So, for example, he had surrendered to Krishna in the previous shloka, right? In this shloka, again, what is he doing? What is he reconfirming again in this shloka? By again saying that, again he's, using certain words that, I cannot drive away, my lamentation. My senses are drying up and I will not be able to, give up. What is he reconfirming over here?
You meant Arjuna, Mataji?
So no, he's reconfirming his dependence and faith on Krishna. He surrendered to Krishna, matlab I am dependent on you, Krishna. And why will somebody surrender to somebody? Because he has faith, right? So he is reconfirming his complete dependence and faith on Krishna. Okay. Okay, next question. Okay. When does one surrender to the spiritual master?
When they are in distress, if they want money, or if they wanted to have some knowledge.
No. Yeah, somebody wants to answer. You can unmute yourself and answer.
Mataji, can I answer?
Yes, sure. You can answer. Vrinda. Yes, answer, Vrinda. When can one surrender to the spiritual master? What does he realize that he surrenders to the spiritual master?
Someone understands Krishna when someone
There is some breakage in your voice.
understands Krishna, he or she will.
So one can surrender to the spiritual master or Krishna only when he realizes that independently he cannot solve all the material perplexities that are there.
His knowledge is not sufficient enough to solve the problems.
Yes, his knowledge is not sufficient enough, and he'll not be able to, solve or elevate his pain or despondency,
With the help of Guru, Krishna, he knows that he won't be able to achieve what he really is there on the field.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, third question. What is the definition of a bona fide spiritual master?
One who actually knows the truth and who actually practices and then preaches the same.
Okay.
And
But
who is in the parampara system.
I had given one very nice line, the definition of
Who is Krishna conscious and solve all major problems of life like birth, old age, disease, and death.
Perfect, perfect. That a bona fide spiritual master is one who is 100% Krishna conscious and can solve the problems of life. Very nice. And so what is the only way to real happiness?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dhanavad.
To surrender to Krishna ji and to our Guru.
Yes, correct. To surrender to Krishna or his instructions or Guru or his instructions. Absolutely.
To serve the Lord.
Yeah, to serve the Lord, the only way to happiness is also that. When you're surrendering, you'll serve definitely. By nature, you'll serve. Okay. Then, what is the temporary nature of economic development, worldly supremacy? What is their nature? Economic development, worldly supremacy का nature क्या है?
Materialistic, Mataji.
Yes.
Temporary.
You're closer. Yeah, because economic development cannot solve the problems of material existence. Why? Because economic development, like see, America is a very economic developed country, okay? But is America able to solve the problems of birth and death? Is it able to control people taking birth and people dying also? In Corona times, so many people died, right? But they are not able to solve this problem of birth and death. Okay, so I think we come to the end of this session. And thank you so much for your active participation and eagerness to hear the Bhagavad Gita. We'll meet on next Wednesday, same timing, and with another session of the Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much. Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.